Good afternoon, this is the voting meeting, February 9th, 3 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to ask Mr. David Doxey to lead us in the pledge, and Mr. Lee Falk to lead us in the prayer. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recite the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Need a motion to approve of minutes.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Fountain, second by Mr. Quinn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4 will be approval of add-ons. Item number 17, acceptance of lowest responsible bid for the following items for the Cameron Square waterfront fisheries equipment bids. A, insulated totes. B, 100-pound weight hopper system. C, intake conveyor system. D, knuckle boom crane. E, processing line shrimp grater. F, self-contained process chiller with tank, single contact plate freezer, floor scale. G, 30-ton ice bin. H, refrigerator space package. I, pneumatic ice conveyor system.
I move.
Moved by Mr. Fountain,
Second.
second by Mr. Lee Falk. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion does carry. Item number 5, other permits. Item A is Boardwalk Petroleum Chemical Pipeline LLC. Item B, CenterPoint Energy. C, Bridgeline Holdings LLC. D, A&R Pipeline Company. E, Chase Dwayne LaBeouf.
Move to accept.
I got a motion by Mr. Quinn,
Second.
second by Mr. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 6 will go to appointments. A, MCAL, Anthony Hicks terms expired, table from last month.
Move to reappoint Mr. Hicks.
We got a motion by Mr. Fountain to reappoint, second by Mr. Quinn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion does carry. Item B, Lower Cameron Hospital District Number 2, Christine Storm, term expired, tabled from last month.
I move to reinstate reappoint Ms. Christine Storm.
I got a motion by Mr. Fountain to reinstate Ms. Storm. Got a second by Mr. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion carries. Beachfront Development District 1, Patty Boudreaux resigned, appoint Terry Burrs for remainder term.
I'd like to send Ms. Patty Boudreaux a letter of appreciation and appoint Mr. Terry Burrows to the remainder of the term.
I'd like to send Ms. Patty Boudreaux a letter of resignation, appreciation, and appoint Terry Burns to the remainder of term by Mr. Fountain.
Second.
Second by Mr. Doxey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Beachfront Development District Number 1, Tim Trahan resigned, appoint Mike Miller for remainder of term.
I'd like to send Mr. Terry in a letter of appreciation and appoint Mr. Mike Miller for the remainder of the term.
Second.
We've got a motion by Mr. Fountain to send the letter of appreciation to Mr. Trahan and appoint Mike Miller for remainder. Second by Mr. Lee Falk. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Beachfront Development District Number 1, Patty Broussard resigned, appoint Aaron Legano for remainder term.
Yes, I'd like to, we already sent Ms. Broussard a letter of appreciation, but I'd like to appoint Mr. Aaron Lanyo to the remainder of the term.
I've got a motion by Mr. Quinn, Mr. Fountain to send Patty a letter of appreciation, appoint Mr. Aaron Legano for the remainder of the term. Second by Mr. Quinn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item F is Austin Task Force. Walter Merle, term has expired.
We'll send them a letter and put the term on hold. We don't know what we're gonna do.
Okay.
You wanna
Got a motion by Mr. Doxey to send him a letter of appreciation. And,
all three, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll table all three.
F, G, and H.
okay, we'll go table it. Okay. Items F, G, and H will be all tabled for 30 days.
Second.
Second by Mr. Quinn, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? You got that? All three? Sweet Lake, Grand Lake Cemetery Board, review, Reverend Andrew Martin term has expired.
Move to second. Reappoint.
We're gonna reappoint Mr. Andrew Martin to the board, second by Mr. Lee Falk, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. J, Cameron Water and Cameron Water and Waste District, number 1, Darlene Higgs, term expired.
I'd like to reinstate Ms. Darlene Higgs.
Got a motion by Mr. Doxey to reinstate, second by Mr. Hicks, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration of resolution to approve 6 parish multi-jurisdictional consortium agreement for workforce development.
Move.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Fountain, second by Mr. Quinn, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 8, consideration of resolution for financing $15 million for the cost associated with allowable activities on the Outer Continental Shelf as permitted in the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act, and paying cost of insurance of the bonds.
Move to accept.
I got a motion by Mr. Quinn, second by Mr. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion does carry. Item 9, acceptance of property insurance quote, Louisiana Companies, as presented this morning.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Fountain, second by Mr. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 10, consideration of Public Works reorganization plan.
That's the plan that was presented to us this morning. I'll move.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Fountain to accept the plan that was presented by administration this morning. That's correct, Mr. Fountain?
Yes.
And second by Mr. Falk. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion carries. Item 11, authorized payment for Police Jury Association dues of $7,200.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Quinn, second by Mr. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion does carry. Item 12, authorized payment for CPAC's membership, $250, foundation level 1.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Fountain, second by Mr. Quinn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion carries. Item 13, pay bills.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Falk, second by Mr. Doxey. All in favor?
Aye.
Like to recuse?
I got it. Accused by Mr. Quinn.
Motion second.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposition and one accused? Item number 14, authority to procure emergency debris collection and monitoring RFP. Got a motion by Mr. Hicks,
Second.
second by Mr. Doxey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion does carry. Item number 15, President authorized to sign 2018 Board of Directors commitment letter for local representation for Chambers Southwest and Southwest Louisiana Alliance Foundation.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Fountain,
Second.
second by Mr. Doxey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 16, authority to advertise for RFP for dust control for 2018.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Quinn, second by Mr. Falk. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 17, acceptance of lowest responsible bid for the following items for the Cameron Square waterfront fisheries equipment bids. Ron, we just take them all in one lick?
You can take A through H.
Okay, A through H, gentlemen.
Take 17, 8 through 8.
A through H.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Hicks, second by Mr. Quinn for items A through H.
Correct.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Item I.
17I.
Say again, Mr. Boyer?
17I, sorry. We need a motion to reject.
Okay, I need a motion to reject on seven. I got a motion by Mr. Quinn to reject the bid and rebid.
Yes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fountain. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Got one by Mr. Quinn, second by Mr. David Doxey. All in favor? Any opposition? That motion carries. Good evening.